All right, next example. We're simplifying radicals with variables in them. Okay, so let's look at some rules with variables. All right, so now let's look at simplifying radicals with variables in it. So we're going to start seeing things with x's and y's and p's and q's and n's and all that stuff. So when variables are involved, again, we need to look at whether our index is even or odd, because stuff happens, right? Depending on whether it's even or odd. So when the index is odd, then when I take the nth root of a to the n, I just get a. So basically, these numbers divide. So whatever number this is divides by that one, and you get your new exponent. Okay, so it's kind of basically, if these are the same, they would cancel out. Right? If the index is even, then they cancel out, but you don't get just the a value, you get the absolute value of a. Okay, so let me give kind of a reasoning of why the absolute value is there. So for example, let's say we take cube root of 8, we get, this means cube root of 2 to the 3, okay, and this is just cube root of 8 is just 2. So notice basically this cancels with that. You divide 3 divided by 3, you get 1, so you just get 2 to the 1, which is 2. Right. If you do cube root of negative 8, this is cube root of negative 2 cubed. This cancels out, and you get negative 2. Alright, so whatever a here, the base raised to the same power as the index, when you sort of take the radical with the same index of something raised with the same number, then you just get that number out. Okay, so the 2 comes out or the negative 2 comes out. And let's see what happens with even radical, so square root. All right, so if we have square root of 4, we can think of this as square root of 2 squared. So the square root means you have an index of 2 there, so this is going to just be positive 2. Okay? But square root of 4, this 4 right here can also be written as parentheses negative 2 squared, because negative 2 squared is also positive 4. So you could also get the answer to be negative 2. The answer is positive 2, because we're still taking the square root of 4, which is positive 2. So we can see that we can get there 2 ways. We can get to the same answer from 2 different things. All right. So if this number is positive, then you get an answer of 2. But if that number is negative, you still get the answer of 2. Okay. And with numbers, you can see what's happening. But with variables, if I have x or y in there, you don't know if the value of the variable is positive or negative. It could be either one or the other, depending on what number you're going to give to the variable at some point in the future. But if it's just a variable, it could be positive or it could be negative. Right? So because of that, you're going to, for even radicals, if you're taking the nth root of a to the n, right, you have to put the absolute value of a, because a could be positive or it could be negative, but you're always getting a positive answer out, and that's what the absolute value does. If n is odd, then you're going to get a without the absolute value, because positive values that you plug in give you positive answers, and negative values that are here give you negative answers. So the negative doesn't cancel out; it just carries over with what it was originally. Okay, so when you're doing the problem, you have to remember that for even radicals, indices, you have to put absolute values around your answer. And sometimes you can simplify it later on, but initially you have to put that on. Okay, so let's look at the example. So part A, we have square root of x squared. So this is a even root. That means it's going to need absolute values. So this is absolute value of x. So notice that these, you basically divide 2 divided by 2 and you get an exponent of 1. So that's where the exponents go. Right? Let's look at B. Cube root of n cubed. You divide 3 divided by 3. You divide the exponent by the index, you get n to the 1. And because this is odd, you don't put absolute values. 4th root of p to the 4. You divide 4 by 4, you get p to the 1. Because this is even, you put absolute values. 8th root of p to the 5. P to the 5 divided by 5 is 1. Because it's odd index, you don't put absolute values. Right? So these are our answers.